Sweden's NATO accession brings a mature defense industrial base and new capabilities that significantly strengthen alliance readiness and cooperation.
These aren't just people with guns. These are support staff. I mean, there's all kinds of other things. These aren't just fighters, war fighters necessarily. They're all the support that comes with it. So, although they may be in uniform, and so nonetheless, I mean, but that's always going to be an ongoing process. All right, I do have to run, so a couple more.
On that
Any
role for NATO to play when it comes to the situation in Cuba?
NATO's far from Cuba.
I know.
Mr. Secretary,
We haven't talked about that at all.
What do you see as Sweden's role within NATO?
Important. I mean, Sweden's been an incredible addition to NATO. Understand, there's a country that basically had to defend itself for a very long time, but it has a robust and mature manufacturing sector, industrial sector, technology sector. So, look, this is not a criticism, so I don't want you guys to read into this as like I'm criticizing some country. But generally, the additions to NATO have been countries that joined because they were in a weak position, and so they joined because they needed the collective strength of an alliance. But when we added the two countries, Sweden being one of them, these are two countries that brought to the table capabilities that NATO didn't used to have, and with whom we've already had long-term defense agreements for a very long time in cooperation. So Sweden was an incredible addition and made the alliance much stronger, no doubt about it. And especially now, we're talking about one of the things we talk about is the defense industrial base. I mean, Sweden had a mature defense industrial base that it now brought into NATO. So the opportunity, we already work on aircraft together and so forth. The ability to build on that is extraordinary, and that's one of the things we want to be able to do. And beyond defense, on other areas that touch on defense, but maybe are not defense direct.
Mr. Secretary,
Did you get a question?
Only one.
I know, but this guy's greedy. All right, this is my last one. I apologize. I got to fly to India. Go ahead.
Greenland and the Arctic. Have you been discussing that?
We had an Arctic. Well, we didn't discuss Greenland today, but we had an Arctic meeting today at the 7th.
NATO is elevating Arctic security after a positive 7-nation meeting, making Northern defense a regular focus in alliance planning and diplomatic talks.
Countries and very positive. We'll have a joint statement. I don't know if it's out yet. It should be out in a moment. And I think there's a growing, although this is an effort that's pre-existed, I think there's a growing commitment to make it a regular part of our engagements as NATO is to focus on Arctic security for obvious reasons. We're an Arctic nation. We're always going to be focused on the Arctic. It's great to see that other countries are part of this effort now, and that it's going to play a more prominent role. The Arctic is going to play a more prominent role in NATO and in discussions around NATO. So we had our political officers met a few days ago and worked out a lot of details on the joint statement, and then we had the foreign ministers meeting today and potentially a leaders level meeting at some point on it as well. So it's a good forum within NATO, and I thought today was very positive, and the joint statement should reflect that. Okay, I said that was about, I'll do one more because I'm a nice guy.
The president announced 5,000 troops going.
This guy's unbelievable.
I apologize.
All right, I'm going to do one more, and then I'll do you because you're so persistent. Go ahead.
Thank you. Have the peace negotiations under American leadership in Ukraine stalled? Do you think Europeans...
Yeah, the peace negotiations on Ukraine under American leadership, let me just say, we got involved, okay, because we were told we were the only ones that could do it. We were the only ones that the Russians and the Ukrainians would talk to. So we got involved. They were not fruitful, unfortunately. That's the play. We stand ready to continue to play that role, despite leaks that are not true, despite stories out there about us forcing the Ukrainians to take this position or that position, which are not true. If we see an opportunity to pull together talks that are productive, not counterproductive, and that have the chance to be fruitful, we're prepared to play that role. There are no such talks occurring at this time. But we hope that will change, because that war can only end with a negotiated settlement. It will not end with a military victory by one side or the other, at least from a traditional standpoint of how military victories are defined. So it will have to lead, and if we can play a role...
The United States says it stands ready to lead productive peace talks on Ukraine, clarifies troop deployments to allies, and warns of concerning Russian activity.
Making that happen, the president is very much interested in doing it. We just, over the last few months, just sort of sensed that there wasn't a lot of progress being made, but maybe dynamics will change, and if they do, we stand ready to play whatever constructive role we can play. If someone else would like to handle it, they should. But it doesn't appear to be anybody else in the world right now that can handle it, so we're more than happy to do that if the opportunity presents itself to have constructive and productive talks. We're also not interested in getting involved in an endless cycle of meetings that lead to nothing. Okay.
Mr. Secretary, very quick. Yeah, I appreciate that. Very quick.
And then I gotta go.
The president said that 5,000 troops will be going to Poland. Can you please clarify where will they be coming from? And separately,
They're coming from America.
From,
They're Americans.
And-
Oh, you mean
and-
specifically where? I'll leave the details on that to the Department of War to announce how these.
5,000
Yeah, but
additional.
in fairness, I'll leave it to the Pentagon to tell you the specifics of how logistically that's going to work. That's not my place to answer.
Let me
but-
ask you something you can respond. Can I get your reaction to recent increasing Russian campaign targeting Baltic countries?
Well, it's concerning. I mean, you always worry about escalation, right? You always worry about that. We understand, these countries feel threatened by it, obviously, for obvious reasons. So it's a concerning thing because you always worry that something like that can spark into something bigger. And that's always a possibility. And so we're concerned about it. We're watching it carefully. We're obviously engaged with our allies in NATO on that regard in terms of what's happening, and we keep up to date. But the underlying response to your question is we're concerned about it because we don't want it to lead to some broader conflict that can really lead to something far worse.
The Iranians today said, Mr. Secretary, that there's some forward movement.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I can't believe I said the same thing that the Iranians did. There's been some progress. I wouldn't exaggerate it. I wouldn't diminish it. There's more work to be done, but look, yeah, there's been some, and that's a good sign. I'm glad they said that. We're not there yet. I hope we get there. The president would prefer to do a good deal, but